I'm Lenrod and Zulu Baraka, correspondent for Crazy Ass News Network, the only network dedicated to exposing bullshit in high and low places. In this edition, politics and politicians are on my radar. The list of politicians and heads of state who run afoul of their own domestic as well as international human rights law is quite lengthy. Crimes committed by heads of state and ordinary politicians include corruption, murder, crimes against humanity, bribery, child smuggling, treason, tax evasion, rape, contempt of court, attempted assassinations, leaking classified information, manslaughter, abuse of office, fraud, money laundering, drug smuggling, child sex abuse, and forgery. Now, against such a backdrop of such a bleak and dismal track record, it is reasonable to ask, would the world be a better place without politicians? I will explore this question after this short break, so don't go away, I'll be right back. Criminal heads of states and politicians can be located all over the globe. This special class of criminals can be found in Africa, where corruption is almost like religion. They can be found in the Caribbean, in North America, in South America, in Europe, in Asia, and in Oceania. Some of them are black, some are Caucasian, some are Asian, some are native Indian. But the glue that holds this class together is they're all criminals. I'm reminded of the old joke which asks, what would you call 100 politicians at the bottom of the ocean? And the answer, a damn good start. Politics is what I like to call a very promising profession. Whichever party can outpromise the other party wins the election. Someone once describe a successful politician as someone who finds out where the public is going, then takes a shortcut to get out in front of them and then make the public think they are leading the way. Prevarication and strategic misinformation, what is normally called lying, are elevated to an art form in the political arena. Politicians will give you 100 reasons why you should vote for them before the election. Then they will give you 200 reasons why they can't fulfill any of the 100 reasons they gave originally. And that inability to fulfill these promises always has something to do with the mismanagement of their predecessors in office. Now, after many years of carefully observing politicians, I think I have come up with a method of determining when politicians are telling the truth and when they're lying. Now, if you see a politician put his or her hand on their heart and look you straight in the eye, that's a moment of truth. If they raise their hand and look to the heavens, that also is a moment of truth. But the moment you see a politician open his or her mouth and start to speak, you know that the lying and the bullshit has started. The story is told of an old wise man who, after reading the inscription on a politician's coffin, which said, "Herein lies a politician and an honest man," was heard asking, how on earth did the undertaker get two men to fit into such a small box? But you have to give it to politicians. They're usually very smooth talkers. There are some politicians who will tell you go to hell in such a nice way that you actually will go home and pap, all excited about going on the trip. Politicians also, like Trump and Bolsonaro in recent times, they hate to lose elections. They always believe that those counting the votes miscounted. There was once the case of a politician who, on receiving news that his wife had just given birth to triplets, instinctively demanded a recount. I talk a lot of trash about politicians, but I must admit that I do love political elections. During the campaigns, it seems as though all politicians are given a mega dose of truth serum and they are forced to tell the truth about each other. Both sides unmask each other's low-down, deceitful, lying sacks of shit. When you see politicians start to dig into each other like that, they're telling you the naked, unvarnished truth about each other. The theory of evolution teaches that first came the great apes, and then came man. Politicians, however, prove that evolution can go either way. I remember years ago seeing a cartoon in which a monkey, after witnessing all the mayhem and carnage produced by politicians, emphatically stated, "No one is making a man out of me." All seriousness aside, the world right now is precariously perched on a precipice, and it looks as though we are about to go over the precipice into a mass extinction event. Global warming is threatening to make this planet we call home into an uninhabitable, dry, hostile terrain that is incapable of sustaining life as we now know it. Now, rather than pooling the resources of the human collective to tackle this big existential threat, politicians all over the world are dithering while global climate change accelerates. It may very well be that the masses will have to retire all our politicians and evolve new social structures that are far more willing and more capable of tackling the big problems facing the human family. No longer can we continue to bankroll men and women who build bridges where there are no rivers, men and women who, instead of running for office, should be running for cover, men and women whose promises are more extravagant than a bride and a groom exchanging vows on their wedding day. The world needs better leadership than this. You and I deserve better leadership than this. As Charles de Gaulle, the French leader, is reported to have said once, politics is simply too important to be left to politicians. I'm Lenrod in Zulu Baraka, correspondent for Crazy Ass News Network, where our motto is, every day it's the same old shit, just different assholes.